In this podcast episode, Mel Robbins sits down with Oz Pearlman, a world-renowned mentalist, to explore the art of communication, influence, and connection. Oz shares insights from his 30-year career into mastering conversations, commanding attention, building confidence, and handling difficult interactions. From the power of first impressions to overcoming fear of rejection and navigating challenging people, this episode offers practical tools to elevate personal and professional relationships. Oz begins by clarifying his profession. A mentalist is essentially a magician who creates the illusion of reading minds, not someone with supernatural abilities. His craft is rooted in understanding human psychology and behavior to influence, guide, and entertain. Central to his work is creating memorable moments that leave audiences amazed, emphasizing that people remember how you make them feel, rather than the details of what you say or do. This principle underpins the way Oz approaches interactions, to make others feel they are the star of the moment, which in turn makes them champion you. A key skill Oz teaches is how to immediately command attention upon entering any room. This involves reducing tension in others' minds and quickly establishing rapport. He illustrates this with examples from his shows where he masterfully diffuses skepticism and captures interest through body language, time constraints, and carefully chosen words. By being concise, confident, and focusing attention on others, anyone can become the most memorable person in any room. The ability to give others a positive, unique experience is what distinguishes exceptional communicators. Contrary to waiting for opportunities or gatekeepers, Oz stresses the importance of proactive preparation and self-advocacy. He shares personal stories, including performing at events featuring high-profile figures like President Barack Obama, where meticulous planning and having a rehearsed, meaningful opening line transformed a fleeting moment into a memorable exchange. Success, according to Oz, is built by consistently putting oneself in situations where luck can occur and then making the most of those moments through readiness, creativity, and resilience. Oz reveals a mental trick he developed as a teenager working in restaurants to cope with frequent rejection. He mentally separates his core self from the performer facing dismissal, understanding that rejection is not personal but aimed at the persona presenting the act. This resilience technique diffuses the emotional impact and encourages persistence. Oz also recommends a practical method for overcoming dread, the fast-forward your feelings approach, where you anticipate feeling better after an uncomfortable task and use that to motivate prompt action, reinforced by a 24-hour follow-up alarm to track and reduce perceived fear over time. The podcast delves into the critical nature of the first 10 seconds when meeting someone. Oz explains how swiftly people form judgments and how a thoughtful approach can shift those initial evaluations from suspicion to curiosity. Instead of approaching people head-on, which triggers fight or flight responses, he suggests angled approaches with clear, brief statements that minimize perceived threat, like announcing a limited time to engage. He emphasizes the importance of framing interactions in ways that instantly reduce discomfort, invite interest, and convey value without overwhelming or appearing desperate. Moving beyond small talk, Oz encourages listeners to avoid typical questions like, "What do you do?" which often provoke rote, autopilot responses. Instead, leading with sincere compliments paired with open-ended questions about personal choices sparks richer dialogues and deeper connections. This subtle shift from superficial queries to meaningful inquiries not only disarms people, but also invites storytelling and shared vulnerability, fostering memorable and stimulating interactions. Oz highlights the underestimated power of remembering and using people's names. He shares a simple but effective technique. Listen carefully, immediately repeat the name aloud twice, and then reply with a relevant comment, such as a compliment or a question about spelling. This listen, repeat, reply method impresses upon the other person that they are truly seen and cared for, which instantly deepens rapport. The act of connecting a name to a visual cue or existing memory also strengthens recall and leaves a lasting impact. To maintain genuine connections, especially when meeting many people across events, Oz advocates for the habit of taking notes. This practice is less about relying solely on memory and more about showing respect and effort. Writing down details about conversations, interests, and personal information helps keep each individual memorable beyond a single encounter. Reviewing these notes before seeing someone again signals attentiveness and care, often surprising and delighting people while reinforcing long-term relationship building. Oz believes intuition is a form of pattern recognition honed by experience. He advises trusting those gut feelings when something feels off, as they often identify inconsistencies or deception. Recognizing behavioral changes such as altered speech patterns, over-embellishing, or hesitation can signal dishonesty. Rather than relying on rigid tell rules, Oz emphasizes studying how individuals typically behave and noticing deviations as a guide. This cultivated awareness improves one's ability to navigate social dynamics wisely and authentically. When confronted with challenging individuals, such as hecklers, rude customers, or toxic coworkers, Oz suggests identifying their underlying motivations to respond effectively. Often, difficult behavior stems from insecurity or a need for attention. By granting a controlled glimpse behind the scenes or involving them constructively, you can diffuse hostility and build rapport. Recognizing that their negativity is more about their internal struggles than a personal attack allows for empathy, emotional detachment, and strategic responses, helping preserve your energy and maintain influence. Oz acknowledges that some relationships or interactions are not salvageable, and trusting your judgment to disengage is vital. He stresses that one cannot control others' behavior, only one's own responses. Assessing whether someone uplifts or drains you informs decisions about investing time or cutting ties. Maintaining boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being enables you to focus on relationships and environments conducive to growth and positivity. A principle Oz calls the number one rule of showbiz applies broadly, knowing when to stop to keep others curious, engaged, and eager for your next interaction. In conversations, meetings, or dates, over-explaining or oversharing diminishes interest. Confidence to pause and allow silence or reaction invites further engagement on others' terms. Balancing openness with restraint creates scarcity and demand, leaving lasting positive impressions rather than being forgotten or overwhelming. Understanding the mindset and context of the person you are engaging is a recurring theme. Whether empathizing with a customer facing delays or navigating a professional pitch, Oz emphasizes stepping into their shoes to tailor your approach. By acknowledging their challenges, frustrations, or needs up front, you lower defenses and invite collaboration. Framing your message in terms of how it benefits them increases receptivity and connection, making communication more impactful and less transactional. Throughout the conversation, Oz blends theoretical insight with actionable advice. Whether it's approaching a busy professional with a short, benefit-oriented introduction or turning a compliment into a conversational branch, these techniques add nuance to networking and everyday interactions. He encourages experimentation and adaptation, recognizing that different contexts require unique calibrations of energy, tone, and content to resonate effectively. Finally, Oz underscores that genuine care, attention, and respect go a long way in building meaningful relationships. Small, consistent efforts, such as remembering names, gifting sincere compliments, and following up thoughtfully, compound over time. Authenticity is not about superficial charm or manipulation, but about recognizing and honoring shared humanity. Those who embrace this approach are the ones who cultivate true connection, influence, and enduring success.